We got 2 minutes, and you said if it gets tabled, that means there's certainly going to be a conversation follow-up as opposed to just trying to kind of wish it away. Roger Goodell talked about the Lions' proposal about seeding for the playoff, and I think there was a couple different conversations around that, like if maybe the team from the division has a losing record, maybe then they get docked as opposed to everybody that has this situation. We think it's going to be very difficult to get owners to agree to not letting the division champs have a home playoff game because every year that is kind of the conversation. What do you think it's going to end up being? And do you think there's real consideration to changing the way the playoffs are, even with how successful the playoffs currently are?
Yeah, I have to say, I was really surprised. I assumed this would get voted down like it always has been and kind of just move forward. And then you started to hear like pretty good debate. Maybe it gets tabled. And I was just surprised. I was sort of like you, where it's like no division winner, whatever, not want to have a home game. That's what you play for. But it does seem like there's a little momentum toward, if a division winner has a losing record, maybe they don't host a playoff game. Which, like, even if you're the division winner, you could sort of, like, understand, right?
Yeah, because you're just pumped to be in the playoffs, I think, at that point. So even your fans
and you know that, like,
it.
you didn't... Right, it's not like, you know, do you deserve a home game winning a division with a losing record? Like, and it doesn't happen that often. So I would say, yeah, that to me, that feels like that's a possibility in Mayo as well.
That's awesome. We appreciate you. Have an incredible weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, from the NFL Network, Ian Rappaport.
Thank you.
Okay. So maybe they do change it. Like, yeah, if you have a losing record and you win your division, and we have division has 3 teams that are in there, you're not getting seeded above them.
Yeah.
Okay? The Vikings deserve a home playoff game, is basically what they said last year. But the other thing that was coming out of it was this playoff seeding change. Did you hear what Rap Sheet just said? He said he thinks there is going to be a little bit of a change to that. I'll be interested to see what owners vote against that and what owners vote for that. Because that feels like bad owners right now do not want that at all.
No.
Good team owners would be like, yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, like the lobbying process of these rules that Rap Sheet talked about, the changing of the playoff seedings would be very, very interesting because I think networks are probably for it.
Yeah.
Networks are probably for like the better teams having home field advantage and having better opportunity. I would assume that that's a lot of money that's around it. Roger Goodell, I think he could probably be swayed into a way being like, yeah, we should have our best team set up in the best possible ways. And then, you know, the only people that you would think would be against it would be the teams that have bad teams, and they would want an opportunity every year. If we win our division, we should have something. How do you feel about it, AJ? And did you expect him to say that it feels like there's some maybe actual change? Because I think that surprised all of us.
Yeah, that definitely surprised me. I like his idea of saying, what if you win your division but you have a losing record, that you probably should not host a home playoff game. I could see that happening, but I mean, is it going to give us better matchups? All that matters is that we have like the best matchups for people to watch, because that's what drives all these big time money deals. Is it going to give us better matchups? Like, what will it do?
I think in some situations it would, just because, like, I mean, even just looking at the NFC this year, like if this rule was in place, would the Eagles have had to play all of their guys week 18? Because if they were to have lost that game, then all of a sudden, you know, the Vikings move to the 2 seed. If we were just going off of record,
and would they count as the 4th seed then? Because they would take the 4th division winner spot. Like, is that, because then you have to figure that one out. Like, okay, so the lowest division winner would have a home playoff game, but if they're under 500, does the number 2 seed actually from a division, does that take over the 4th overall seed, or does it actually get seeded how the record should be in that entire?
Because then all of a sudden, the Commanders, they also move up?
Yeah.
Because they had a better record than...
But nobody was under 500, right, in the NFC?
No, the Bucks were the lowest at 9-8, I think.
Yeah.
Unless they went 10-7. I forget what their exact record was, but...
You mentioned something during the break there about that Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are some situations where I think they should either just do it or don't. Don't do the stipulation, like if there's a losing record, then they lose their home playoff game, because I think that stinks. I think the stipulations of a rule usually sometimes can ruin it. And, yeah, the environment of the entire thing, the beast Beastquake, Marshawn Lynch, Seattle
I think they had a
Seahawks.
losing record, right?
They were 7-9.
Yeah.
The Saints were really good that year. Saints come to town, and then all of a sudden, Hasselbeck and Marshawn Lynch, they end up pulling off a massive upset at home. I mean, that is a moment that still gets talked about. It feels like every single year when it's, the wild card round, those throwback accounts, or the NFL will put out, like, remember the Beastquake from whatever year it was. Like, I think those environments can turn into some of the best moments of the playoffs. And then other times it sucks. I mean, Brady's last year with the Bucs, they were 8-9. And they ended up being the 4 seed, and then they lost to the Cowboys and Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was still on the team. I remember him scoring a touchdown. That was a random pull. But sometimes it does.
It's a beautiful mind.
But that was the Monday Night Football game. That was the only game on the wild card weekend was Bucs Cowboys, and the Cowboys killed the Bucs because the Bucs, they weren't that good. Obviously, they went 8-9.
That'd be a huge change for the NFL, especially with the amount of money they're making now for everything and the ratings for everything that they're doing.